The film opens with a small family, Chow T and his son, Dicky, who have been living in poverty for a long time. Because of this poverty, Chow T's wife was unable to receive medical treatment and eventually passed away from her illness. After her death, Chow Tai kept working hard to support Dicky. The two of them lived in a rundown house that was actually unfit for living, but for them, the most important thing was having a place to take shelter and rest. At this time, Dicky is already in elementary school. His school life is rather unfortunate since he is often shunned by his classmates. This is because Dicky is a poor boy who goes to school every day looking dirty. During recess, Dicky feels sorry for a girl named Maggie, who is also often excluded because of her very large body. He takes the initiative to help Maggie by driving the other kids away.
What are you guys doing? No one.
After Dicky helps her, Maggie seems to like him. She even willingly accepts being punished to stand in the schoolyard just to accompany Dicky, who is punished for not bringing his sports shoes during physical education class. Meanwhile, Dicky's dad, Chow T, works as a construction worker, though he's pretty clumsy most of the time. Still, he works tirelessly just to support his son and make sure Dicky can go to a good school. His biggest dream is to give Dicky a proper education so that one day he can grow up to be someone useful and not end up like him, stuck in poverty with no future because he never had the chance to study. Because they're poor, Chow Tai often gets mocked by his boss, who loves teasing him for sending Dicky to a private school, even though Chow Tai is just a low-paid worker with unstable income.
He's got a lot of talent. I mean you! The city school's good enough for my son.
But Chow T doesn't care. He's determined that Dicky deserves the best education he can possibly give. Even if he himself never went far in school, he always teaches Dicky the right values. Never steal, never take what isn't yours, and always be grateful for what you have. That's why Dicky almost never complains to his dad. Chow T does everything he can to cover all of Dicky's needs, and the only thing he asks in return is that Dicky studies hard and stays focused on school. Despite living in poverty, they still manage to find little ways to be happy. Since they don't own a TV, they often hang around a shop just to watch one together. One evening, while they're watching, the news shows a story about a spaceship that crashed on Earth. In the middle of it, Dicky suddenly slips away, leaving Chow Tai panicked until he finds his son staring at a super high-tech robot called CJ7. Dicky immediately begs his dad to buy it, but of course, Chow Tai doesn't have the money. When Dicky keeps whining loudly in public, Chow Tai loses his patience and smacks him just to make him stop.
Let go! Go!
Dicky bursts into tears and runs off, leaving his dad filled with guilt. Chow Tai chases after him and eventually finds him with a woman, Miss Yuan, one of Dicky's teachers. Out of all the teachers at school, she's the only one who truly cares about him and always looks after him. And to make things even harder for Chow Tai, her beauty completely sweeps him off his feet. That night, Chow T heads to the junkyard, hoping to find a pair of sneakers so Dicky can join gym class. While he's digging through piles of trash, he suddenly sees a spaceship shooting up out of the garbage. Curious, he takes a closer look and finds a glowing green ball about the size of a basketball. Chow Tai brings it home and gives it to Dicky. The moment Dicky gets the new toy, he's over the moon. At least it helps him forget about the expensive robot he had been dreaming of. The next day at school, Dicky proudly shows off his new toy and decides to call it CJ7. But Johnny, one of his classmates, starts mocking him, saying the toy looks super ugly compared to his own fancy robot.
Pathetic piece of trash. It's called CJ7.
Dicky gets angry and wants to fight him on the spot, but Johnny quickly calls over his big, chubby sidekick, to do the dirty work. After school, Dicky gets in big trouble with his dad, who scolds him hard for picking a fight with Johnny. In the middle of that moment, Dicky accidentally presses the antenna on his toy, and out of nowhere, strange things begin to happen. The green ball slowly transforms into a little alien dog. This weird but adorable creature has magical powers. It can even turn a rotten apple into a fresh one. To Dicky, it feels like the perfect toy, something fun and totally different from everyone else's. He's overjoyed, finally having a toy that's both cute and special.
If you like it. Do you like it?
That night, Dicky even dreams about the alien dog protecting him in every situation and helping him score perfect grades on all his exams. The next morning, he wakes up from that wonderful dream with an apple still in his mouth. Excited, he can't wait to test out CJ7's abilities in real life. At first, Dicky really believes CJ7 has magical powers, but reality doesn't match his dream. CJ7 can't protect him from a chasing dog, and it can't magically give him tools to get good grades. Disappointed and frustrated, Dicky gets angry at CJ7. To make matters worse, CJ7 blasts poop at him, covering him in a disgusting mess. Humiliated, Dicky ends up being washed off by his teacher right in front of his classmates. Blinded by anger, he grabs CJ7 and throws it into a trash bin. Moments later, regret hits him, and he runs back to find CJ7. But it's too late. The bin is already empty, taken away by the garbage truck. Heartbroken, Dicky goes home crying, devastated that he couldn't find CJ7. But his tears stop the moment he sees CJ7 waiting for him at home with Chow Tai. Chow Tai is completely confused as he stares at the strange little creature, and Dicky explains that CJ7 came out of the green ball his dad had brought home. That night, Dicky and Chow Tai struggle to sleep because of the unbearable heat. Seeing this, CJ7 thinks of a way to help them rest. It repairs a broken fan that Chow Tai had picked up from the junkyard. And soon enough, the fan works perfectly again, letting them sleep peacefully. Right after that, though, CJ7 collapses, exhausted from using its energy. The next morning, Chow Tai is confused when he sees that the broken fan is suddenly working perfectly again. Meanwhile, Dicky rushes off to school, taking CJ7 with him. Unfortunately, Johnny and his gang spot CJ7 sneaking into Dicky's bag. Curious, they grab CJ7 and start messing with it, even trying to see what's inside its body. Seeing CJ7 treated so roughly, Dicky tries to fight back by punching Johnny, but his punch gets blocked by Johnny's sidekick. Just as the sidekick is about to hit Dicky, Maggie steps in to protect him. In the end, Maggie wins the fight. But unlucky for them, a teacher witnesses the whole thing and punishes all of them by making them stand under the hot sun in the schoolyard. While they're being punished, CJ7 walks up to Dicky and the others, showing off its silly antics. Everyone is amazed by how funny and adorable CJ7 is. Grateful that Johnny doesn't snitch about CJ7 to the teacher, Dicky thanks him. And from that moment, Johnny and Dicky become friends.
Can't do anything. Hey, discuss our business.
Before heading to school, Dicky shows Chow Tai his test paper. Chow Tai is overjoyed. This is the first time Dicky has ever gotten a perfect score. He's so proud that he shows the paper off to his co-workers and even to his boss, wanting to prove that all his hard work has paid off and made his son smart. But instead of being impressed, his boss accuses Dicky of cheating. Refusing to accept the insult, Chow Tai insists the score is real and shows the test paper again. That's when his boss notices something's off. Turns out, Dicky had actually scored a 0, but secretly changed it to 100. Because Chow Tai had already spoken harshly to his boss, he ends up getting fired on the spot.
And now you're fired!
When he gets home, Chow Ti is crushed and he scolds Dicky for lying. Dicky, in tears, explains that he only changed the score because he didn't want his dad to be disappointed. Wanting to teach his son a lesson, Chow Ti takes CJ7 away so Dicky will focus on studying. Upset, Dicky argues, so Chow Tai makes a deal. If Dicky can score above 60 on his next test, he can do whatever he wants, including getting CJ7 back. Motivated by this, Dicky throws himself into his studies, determined to win back his beloved toy. Later that day, Chow Ti realizes Dicky forgot his lunchbox, so he heads to the school to drop it off. There, he runs into Miss Yuen and asks her to give the lunch to Dicky. She kindly offers to help tutor Dicky so he can score better on his tests, and Chow Tai is deeply grateful for her care and kindness. Afterward, he goes back to his old job site to beg his boss for another chance. Even though the work is tough, Chow Tai doesn't know where else he could find a job. Surprisingly, his boss accepts him back and even gives him a bonus as an apology for mocking Dicky earlier. With the bonus in hand, Chow Tai feels renewed energy to keep working hard. But tragedy strikes. While on the job, an accident happens and Chow Tai loses his life. Meanwhile, at school, Dicky finally scores a 65 on his test. He's thrilled because at last he can prove to his dad that he managed to get a grade above 60. Excited, he can't wait to show Chow Tai the result. But suddenly, Miss Yuen comes into the classroom with devastating news. She tells Dicky about Chow Ti's accident. The crash at work had cost him his life. The shock leaves Dicky heartbroken, unable to accept that his father is truly gone. After Miss Yuen brings him home, he cries himself to sleep, clinging to the hope that when he wakes up, his father will somehow be there beside him again.
He won't leave me alone. Dicky.
Meanwhile, inside Chow Ti's bag, CJ7 stirs and crawls out, only to be horrified at the sight of Chow Ti's lifeless body. Overwhelmed with sorrow and compassion for Dicky, the little alien decides it cannot let him lose his only parent. Pouring every ounce of power into the effort, CJ7 desperately works to heal Chow Tai's wounds and bring him back to life. But the strain is overwhelming. Its energy drains away completely, leaving CJ7 weak and barely conscious. The next morning, Dicky wakes up and finds his dad sleeping right beside him. Overjoyed, he hugs Chow Tai tightly and promises that he'll be a good son, study hard, and aim for high grades. He swears that one day he'll grow up to be successful. As they're embracing, they suddenly hear a sound coming from CJ7. It turns out CJ7 had used up all of its power to bring Chow Tai back to life, doing everything it could just to make Dicky happy. But after saving him, CJ7 becomes extremely weak, and the antenna on its head glows red. Slowly, CJ7 begins to lose consciousness, and its antenna falls off and shatters. Moments later, CJ7 transforms into nothing more than a lifeless doll. Chow Tai and Dicky are stunned and desperately try everything they can to bring it back, using batteries, electric shocks, even makeshift medical treatments, but nothing works. Realizing there's no way to bring CJ7 back, Dicky finally accepts the truth. Holding the doll close, he decides he will keep studying hard and live a good life, carrying CJ7 in his heart as his inspiration. As the days pass, life slowly goes back to normal. Soon, everyone gathers at the park for a lively school picnic. Dicky is there, and so is his dad, Chow Tai. During the picnic, Chow Ti gives Miss Yuen a flower and tries to chat with her. Deep down, he clearly hopes to get closer to her, though it's not going to be easy. Miss Yuen doesn't seem very interested. Meanwhile, Dicky still misses CJ7 dearly. Without his little alien friend, he spends his days hoping and praying that CJ7 will one day return to normal. He even wears the CJ7 doll around his neck so he can feel like they're always together. Then, in the middle of the picnic, Dicky suddenly notices a UFO landing nearby. At the same moment, CJ7's antenna begins to glow and make sounds, showing that its energy is coming back. From the distance, A group of alien dogs comes running toward Dicky. They seem to be CJ7's friends, arriving to help bring him back to life. And with that, the story comes to an end.